Hey, I'm Zach. I work for a company called Sports Engine in Minneapolis, and I want to talk about putting away blamethrowers and going beyond blameless postmortems, which that's like super loaded. So first, a couple working definitions. Since like blamethrowers, people are like, what's that? And like blameless postmortems, it's a DevOps thing. A lot of people know what those are, but I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So blameless postmortems, it's a term popularized by John Allspaw during his time at Etsy. It's a form of post-incident review that focuses on the actual events, what was actually happening at the time of a failure or an incident, and accounts for people, the people that were actually involved and wanting to get an actual account of what happened, focusing on what actions did people actually take, what was involved, what did people observe, what assumptions did they make, trying to do that with like true account without blame. So blamethrowers, on the other hand, like you might think of, if you're like me, maybe mystery men, but I'm talking about more of the posture of seeking to really just gaslight and blame people when the smallest things go by. We all blame people all the time, and some people think about blame shifting and blame spreading, and it's really trying to figure out who's responsible and heap the blame on them. So, as I said, there's everyday blame. We all blame all the time. We may not think about it, but I think that we really need to talk about going beyond just postmortems. Like, when anything goes wrong, we seek to find out what happened and who was involved, and we are blaming individuals for every little thing that they're doing. And as the DevOps movement's really about culture, I think that if we reduce the amount of blame that we're doing, that we could really help organizations as the whole. Wouldn't be a DevOps Days conference without referencing Conway's Law. So Conway's Law is any organization that designs a system, defined broadly, will produce a design whose structure is a copy of that organization's communication structure. So if you think about the fact that we all are doing these micro-blaming operations all the time, are we really just are we creating a culture of blame? So what does that mean in organizations? Are we encouraging scapegoating and blaming people for bugs and misconfigurations? What about when you're frustrated by a bug or an issue? I posit that one of the systems that we're all designing every day is the culture of our organizations. And if we're blamey, we're producing blamey systems as part of blamey organizations. And we are creating blamey cultures. And with that, we can kind of create dumpster fire products because we're all producing this culture that promotes blame on the small scale, even get blame if we're talking about that. Like, you're trying to find out who's responsible, and you might go after them. The human response often is just to be like, it's fine, nothing's wrong, even though everything's on fire around you. And while we might not be in terrible organizations all the time, the same ideas come through. No one actually wants to be blamed. In general, people do what makes sense to them at the time, given their focus and goals. Seeking out bad actors is the wrong perspective, but is inherent to most culture. There are many kinds of bias that we deal with every day that play into us blaming other people. Hindsight bias and fundamental attribution error are really two of the main ones. Hindsight bias is the inclination after an event to see it as being predictable all along. This is easiest to recognize in yourself as often counterfactual language like they should have, they could have, if only. We don't just blame others for their mistakes, though. We twist the situations to confirm our blaminess. Fundamental attribution error plays a big role in this as well, as we often blame things on others based on the actions that they have done without taking into consideration the fact that if we were in that situation, we might have done similar. So in closing, I want to pose the idea that what if we worked hard to try and change our own language and our own perspectives to blame others less? Might we also experience less blame ourselves? Would the culture that we're in become a culture you'd like to be more of a part of? I hope that I've given you something to think about. Thank you.